The spaceport of Virelia was alive with movement, sounds, and color. Ships of all shapes and sizes landed and took off, their engines humming a metallic symphony. Merchants shouted their wares, and travelers hurried past, some with purpose, some distracted by the bustling spectacle. Above all this chaos, Commander Solara walked with a quiet confidence, her posture straight, her mind sharp. Her armor gleamed under the bright lights, polished to perfection by the meticulous routines demanded of the elite human vanguard. Every plate, every joint, every detail reflected the countless hours of preparation that separated her from ordinary soldiers. Solara had walked these corridors hundreds of times, and yet the spaceport never failed to amaze her. Even with the chaos, she moved with precision. Nothing could touch her focus, not chatter, not merchants, not the occasional child darting past her. Today she had an important meeting with the council, and the last thing she wanted was a disturbance. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. A sudden brush against her shoulder made her pause. She instinctively turned. The moment her eyes landed on the figure, her instincts screamed warning. A man, hood drawn over his face, had accidentally grazed her armor with a careless hand. It was enough to leave a small smear on the pristine surface, a mark that should not exist. Solara's hand moved as if by its own accord. In one swift motion, she drew her plasma blade, the hum of energy filling the air. Within seconds, the tip was at the man's throat, steady, unwavering. The crowd froze. Merchants dropped their voices to whispers. Children peered wide-eyed from behind crates. No one dared move. "Step back," she commanded, her voice low but cutting, like steel against glass. "Do you know what you've done?" The man raised his hand slightly, showing no aggression but also no fear. He seemed calm, almost unnervingly so considering the circumstances. "It was an accident," he said, his voice smooth, controlled. "I didn't mean to." Solara didn't lower her blade. Her eyes narrowed, scanning for any sign of threat. "Your hand touched my armor," she said sharply. "Do you understand what that means?" "Yes," he replied. His tone was respectful, but it carried a confidence that intrigued her. Most people would be trembling by now. Most would beg for forgiveness. Not him. At that moment, a sudden gust of wind swept through the spaceport. Papers, small pieces of trash, and dust spiraled through the air. The wind caught the man's hood and pulled it back, revealing his face. Solara froze. The man's face was familiar, though she could not immediately place it. His eyes were sharp, intelligent, and unafraid. There was something in his expression that hinted at experience, skill, and purpose. Something that made her pulse quicken, not with fear, but with the stirrings of recognition. "Who are you?" she demanded, keeping her blade pressed lightly against his throat. Every second counted. She could not afford to make a mistake. Not here, not now. Not with the council waiting. "My name is Kale," he said. "I'm from the colony of Rhenis." Solara's mind raced. Rhenis was a human colony several light years from Virelia, known for its engineers, inventors, and traders. Its people were clever, resourceful, but sometimes unpredictable. She had heard rumors of engineers who could outwit security systems better than most soldiers. That could be dangerous. "And why were you touching me?" she asked, her tone softening just a little, though her stance remained firm. "This is elite vanguard armor. One smudge can ruin years of work." Kale's eyes flicked to the armor, then back to hers. "I didn't mean to touch it," he said. "I was carrying equipment. Fragile, sensitive equipment, and I misstepped. I assure you it was not intentional." Solara studied him carefully. His words seemed honest, but deception could be clever, and humans were capable of both. Still, there was something different about him. His confidence, his composure under threat. It was not arrogance. It was skill, experience. "Step back," she repeated, though now her voice carried a hint of curiosity. "Tell me why you are here in Virelia, alone, without a permit." Kyle hesitated. His eyes scanned the crowd subtly, as if calculating the risks. "I am here on important business," he finally said. Business that involves the safety of this city. Solara's brow arched. Safety? How could a stranger from another colony know anything about Virelia's safety? Kyle's lips curved slightly, a faint, confident smile. Because the threat is not limited to one city, he said. It is coming for all of us, and if it succeeds here, there will be nowhere safe. Solara's pulse quickened. She had faced countless threats, alien invaders, pirates, smugglers, but the gravity in Kale's voice was different. She could sense it, feel it, without yet understanding why. Show me your hands, she ordered, lowering her blade just slightly. Her instincts told her he wasn't armed. She needed to see for herself. He obeyed, slowly, deliberately. His hands were clean, empty, unthreatening. Solara's eyes searched for hidden weapons, implants, or devices. Nothing, only skillful control and precision. All right, she said cautiously, lowering the blade completely, though she kept it within reach. Explain. Now. Kyle straightened, his presence commanding, though he did not raise his voice. There are infiltrators among us, he said. Aliens disguised as humans. They have been sabotaging colonies, cities, and military outposts for months. I came to Virelia because intelligence indicates that this city is their next target. Solara's eyes widened slightly. Aliens. Here? In the spaceport? Kyle shook his head. No, not yet. But soon. If we do not act, the damage will be irreparable. I have information that could help prevent the attack, but I cannot do it alone. Solara considered him carefully. She had always trusted her instincts, trained them to recognize deception, courage, and human ingenuity. She saw it now in Kale. Intelligence, courage, and a certain spark that reminded her why humans had survived against impossible odds time and again. Still, she was not naive. How can I trust you, she asked, her voice steady. One wrong step and I would have been dead, or worse, compromised. Why should I believe anything you say? Kyle's eyes met hers directly. Because I am offering more than words. I have proof, data, observations. I can show you the locations, the plans, the patterns. But I need access to your systems, your defenses. And I need someone who can act quickly, someone like you. Solara's mind raced. Her duty demanded suspicion, yet her instincts urged caution mixed with opportunity. To reject this could risk disaster. To trust him too soon could be catastrophic. The wind swept through again, tossing her hair and Kale's hood around. It seemed almost symbolic, as if nature itself had chosen this moment to reveal the truth. Solara realized she could spend hours debating, but time was a luxury they did not have. All right, she said at last slowly. I will listen, but any deception, any misstep, and you will regret it. Kyle inclined his head. Understood. With that, Solara sheathed her blade, though she kept her armor ready, alert. Together they moved toward a quieter section of the port. Merchants and travelers gave them wide berth, sensing the unspoken tension, the silent authority of a human soldier and a man who carried knowledge that could change the fate of the city. As they walked, Solara could not shake the feeling that this encounter, this brush with danger and recognition, was only the beginning. Somewhere in the distance, ships continued to roar, alarms hummed faintly, and the wind carried whispers of coming change. Solara glanced at Kale, trying to place his face. I feel like I know you, she said softly. Kyle's lips quirked in the faintest smile. Perhaps you do, he replied enigmatically. For a moment, the chaos of the spaceport faded. It was just the two of them, standing at the edge of a storm that neither fully understood, yet both were ready to face. In that moment, the pristine armor, the plasma blade, the wind, and the crowded spaceport all seemed irrelevant. What mattered was human courage, instinct, and the spark of trust that could turn strangers into allies. And as the wind swept through, again lifting Kale's hood just slightly, Solara saw something she hadn't expected, a reminder of the resilience, adaptability, and brilliance of humans. The story had begun. Solara led Kyle through the quieter streets of Virelia's spaceport, keeping her senses alert. Merchants hurried past, but their gazes avoided the commander and the stranger walking together. The air was thick with the scent of hot metal, fuel, and the faint tang of ozone from passing spacecraft. Solara's armor gleamed under the dim lights of the alleyways, and she could feel the weight of responsibility pressing against her chest. Every step, every sound could mean danger. Kale walked beside her calmly, his hands at his sides, unarmed. His posture suggested confidence and focus. Solara still didn't know whether she could fully trust him, but something about his composure and the seriousness in his eyes made her hesitate before reaching for her blade again. "Start talking," she said firmly. "Tell me everything you know." "Start from the beginning," Kale nodded. He stopped in the middle of the alley and turned to face her. "I'll try to make it as clear as possible," he said. "There's an alien presence in this sector. Not the kind that attacks openly. These aliens are clever. They disguise themselves as humans. They've infiltrated multiple colonies, including some on Virelia. Their goal is to weaken human defenses and take control quietly. If we do not act quickly, they could compromise everything: the spaceport, the city, even the Vanguard." Solara's eyes narrowed. "Disguised as humans? How is that even possible?" Kale took a deep breath. "They have advanced technology that can mask their appearance. To most humans, they look completely normal. They can manipulate security systems, intercept communications, and sabotage essential systems. Their intelligence is frightening, and they are patient. That's why they are dangerous. They don't attack all at once. They wait, learn, and strike when humans least expect it." Solara studied him carefully. She had faced intelligent opponents before, but Kale's words carried weight. He was calm, measured, and he spoke as though he had already seen the consequences of failure. That confidence, combined with the knowledge he claimed to have, made her pulse quicken. She had to know if he was telling the truth. "Show me proof," she said. "I need evidence, not just words." Kyle reached into a small pouch at his belt and pulled out a compact data device. "This contains logs, surveillance, and intercepted communications. It's encrypted, but I can unlock it. The data shows anomalies, patterns that cannot be explained by human error. It shows their movements, their plans, and some of their targets. I've already confirmed some of it with my contacts in Rhinus. They're real, and they're coming here." Solara took the device carefully, running a scanner from her armor over it. The holographic display lit up with complex schematics, grids of coordinates, and highlighted data points. As she examined the information, she realized the danger was greater than she had anticipated. These were not ordinary infiltrators. They were intelligent, adaptable, and ruthless in their methods. "Why come to me?" she asked, glancing at him. "Why not go directly to the Vanguard?" Kale hesitated. "Because time is short. The Vanguard bureaucracy is slow. Decisions take hours, sometimes days. By the time they act, the infiltrators could have already struck. I needed someone who could move fast, think strategically, and make decisions without delay. That's why I sought you." Solara's mind raced. She was aware of her own capabilities, her leadership, combat skills, and knowledge of the city's defenses. Yet trusting an outsider with such sensitive information was dangerous. Still, Kale had something she lacked: knowledge of these infiltrators' movements, technology, and plans. "All right," she said finally, her voice steady. "We'll investigate. But any deception, any lie, and you'll regret it." Kale inclined his head. "Understood." Together they moved through the streets, heading toward the command center of Virelia's spaceport. The building was fortified, equipped with surveillance systems, automated defenses, and human guards trained to respond to threats with precision. Solara's mind raced as they approached. Every step brought them closer to action, closer to revealing the truth of Kale's warnings. Inside the command center, Solara's team greeted her with surprise. They were used to her discipline, her precise methods, and her unwavering focus. Seeing her accompanied by a stranger raised immediate questions. "Commander Solara, who is this?" one of her lieutenants asked. "This is Kale," she said firmly. "He has information about a potential alien threat to our city. Listen carefully." Kyle stepped forward, projecting confidence and clarity. "I have identified several individuals in the city who are likely infiltrators. They have been manipulating systems, sabotaging security networks, and gathering intelligence. If we do not act now, they will gain control and jeopardize the entire spaceport. I have logs, patterns, and coordinates that can help you intercept them." The room fell silent. Solara watched the reactions carefully. Curiosity, doubt, and tension mixed in every face. Some officers whispered among themselves, questioning the validity of Kyle's claims. Others studied the data device, realizing the depth of the threat. Solara addressed them firmly. "We have no time for doubt. If Kale is telling the truth, the safety of Virelia depends on our immediate action. We move quickly, we act decisively, and we rely on human ingenuity and courage to outsmart this threat." Any questions? There were none. The team trusted Solara's judgment, and she had never led them astray. Kale unlocked the data device, displaying maps and schematics across the central holographic table. "Here," he said, pointing to the highlighted sections. "These are locations where infiltrators are likely to strike first. The patterns are consistent with previous attacks on other colonies. If we secure these areas, we can prevent significant damage and gain the upper hand." Solara studied the maps carefully. Each location represented a critical point: power grids, communication hubs, and transportation routes. The infiltrators were smart, strategic, and coordinated. To outmaneuver them, she would need every bit of skill, instinct, and leadership she possessed. "We split into teams," she ordered, her voice firm. "I will take the most critical site. Kale, you will guide us. Your knowledge of their methods is essential." We move swiftly, quietly, and decisively. Failure is not an option. The team sprang into action. Soldiers armed themselves, loading energy rifles, securing armor, and checking their equipment. Kale directed them, explaining the subtle signs that indicated infiltrator activity. Unusual access codes, tampered machinery, and patterns that only someone with experience could recognize. As they moved through the spaceport, Solara felt the tension building. Every shadow, every corner, every sound could indicate danger. Yet amidst the tension, there was a strange sense of excitement. A thrill born from the knowledge that human courage and skill could make a difference, even against a threat that seemed unstoppable. They reached the first location, a communication hub critical to Virelia's defense network. Kale pointed out areas of concern, highlighting systems that had been tampered with. "If we don't secure these terminals," he said, "the infiltrators could disrupt communication across the entire city. It's their way of creating chaos before an attack." Solara nodded, giving orders with precision. "Team Alpha, secure the terminals. Team Beta, check the surrounding areas." We moved silently. No mistakes. The teams moved with practiced efficiency. Every action, every step reflected human skill, discipline, and ingenuity. Solara and Kale worked together, combining her combat expertise with his technical knowledge. They found evidence of tampering, small, precise manipulations that could have gone unnoticed by ordinary personnel. "This is advanced work," Kale said quietly, impressed. "Most humans wouldn't even notice this." Solara allowed herself a small smile. "That's why we're elite." Hours passed as they secured multiple points across the city. Each success brought new confidence, each challenge tested their skills and resolve. Solara noticed something remarkable: Kale's calm under pressure, his ability to think several steps ahead, and his instinctive understanding of human behavior. Together, they made a formidable team. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city, the immediate threat had been mitigated. Systems were secured, infiltrators identified, and Virelia's defenses strengthened. Yet Solara knew this was only the beginning. The aliens were clever, patient, and determined. They would not give up easily. Solara and Kale stood on a rooftop overlooking the spaceport, the wind whipping around them, carrying the scent of fuel, metal, and ozone. The city below was alive with activity, unaware of the danger that had been averted. "You did well today," Solara said, her voice calm but tinged with respect. "I was wrong to doubt you at first." Kyle shook his head. "It wasn't just me. It was all of you. Humans work best when they trust each other and act decisively. That's why I came here, to help humans protect themselves." "You're stronger than you know." Solara felt a surge of pride. Human courage, skill, and ingenuity had made the difference. Against a clever, patient alien threat, it was humanity's adaptability and determination that had prevailed. For now. She looked at Kale, remembering the moment she had first pressed her blade to his throat. The anger, the suspicion, the sudden recognition, it all seemed like a lifetime ago. Now he was not just a stranger but an ally, a reminder of what humans could achieve when they worked together, combining intellect, courage, and heart. The wind swept through again, lifting Kyle's hood slightly. Solara. The sun had long dipped below the horizon. casting long shadows over Virelia's spaceport. The city lights reflected off the metal surfaces of ships and buildings, giving the port a subtle glow, like the heartbeat of a living machine. The streets buzzed with normal activity, unaware of the invisible threat lurking in the shadows. Commander Solara moved swiftly with Kale by her side, their mission far from over. Tonight they would confront the infiltrators directly. It was one thing to secure systems and prevent sabotage. It was another to face the aliens themselves, cleverly disguised as humans. Solara's pulse quickened with anticipation, not fear. Every training session, every mission she had undertaken had led to this moment. Her armor fit snugly, her weapons were primed, and her mind was sharp. Kale led the way, moving with quiet confidence. He pointed to a warehouse on the edge of the spaceport. "The infiltrators are gathering here," he whispered. "We have confirmation that at least 3 are inside, preparing to hack the communication systems." Solara's eyes narrowed. She gestured for her team to split into positions. "Team Alpha, secure the front. Team Beta, flank the sides. Kale and I will enter through the rear. Move quietly, no mistakes." The wind blew through the alleys, lifting dust and small debris. Solara felt it brush against her face, sharp and cold, reminding her of the fleeting nature of these moments. One wrong move and the infiltrators could strike. Kale whispered again, pointing to a small vent near the warehouse. "This leads directly to the main chamber. The system they're targeting is here. It's tight, but we can use it to our advantage." Solara nodded. "Good, stay close. Trust your instincts and watch my back." They entered the vent silently, the hum of the city fading behind them. Inside, the metal was cool and smooth, echoing their movements faintly. Solara's armor allowed her to move without making a sound. Kale followed closely, his eyes scanning for signs of tampering. They reached a grate overlooking the main room. Below, 3 figures worked at consoles, their focus absolute. Solara could feel the tension building, her heart steady despite the adrenaline. These were no ordinary intruders. Their movements were precise, their focus deliberate. Kale whispered, "See the devices? They're adjusting the system to create a false signal. It would give them control over communications in less than an hour." Solara's mind raced. There was no time to waste. She signaled Kale and prepared to strike. Her plasma blade hummed to life, the tip glowing faintly in the dim light. Kale adjusted a small device on his wrist, projecting a short pulse that disabled security cameras in the immediate area. Solara dropped silently through the vent, landing behind one of the infiltrators. Without hesitation, she struck. The plasma blade sliced the air, creating a precise cut that immobilized the intruder without lethal force. The other 2 turned, startled, only to find Kale already intercepting one with a compact energy baton. The room erupted in tension. The infiltrators moved quickly, trying to recover, but Solara and Kale were faster, more precise. Every strike, every move was calculated. The humans' training, instincts, and adaptability gave them an edge. While the infiltrators relied on technology and planning, Solara relied on intuition, courage, and human skill. One infiltrator attempted to flee, heading for an emergency exit. Solara blocked the path, her blade poised. "Stop!" she commanded. Her voice carried authority that left no room for argument. The infiltrator froze, realizing they were outmatched. Kale moved to the remaining intruder, using a combination of martial skill and technology to disable their devices. Within minutes, the room was under control. The infiltrators were restrained, their technology neutralized. Solara took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the area for additional threats. "No one else is here," Kyle said quietly, relief in his tone. "We've neutralized the immediate threat." Solara nodded. "Good. Now we need to secure their data. I want to know who sent them, what their plans were, and if there are more infiltrators in the city." Kale connected his device to the infiltrators' systems, quickly extracting encrypted data. Holographic screens lit up showing communication logs, schematics, and coordinates. "They've been coordinating attacks across multiple colonies," Kale explained. "Virelia was just one target among many. Their strategy is consistent: infiltrate, sabotage, and destabilize before launching a larger attack." Solara's eyes narrowed. This was bigger than she had imagined. The aliens were clever, patient, and ruthless. But she also recognized something else: the opportunity to turn the tables using human ingenuity and courage. "We can't just stop here," Solara said firmly. "We need to anticipate their next move. Kale, you lead me through the data. We identify the next targets, prepare defenses, and strike first if necessary. Kyle nodded. Agreed. The data shows unusual patterns at the power grid, the transport hub, and the central command building. If we secure these, we can prevent further sabotage. Solara studied the maps, her mind already forming strategies. Every decision had to be precise, every action deliberate. But she felt a surge of confidence. Humans had always faced overwhelming odds, aliens, environmental disasters, internal conflicts, and yet they endured. Adaptability, courage, and teamwork had always been humanity's greatest weapons. Team Alpha, secure the power grid, Solara commanded through her communicator. Team Beta, head to the transport hub. Kale and I will take the central command building. Move quickly, silently, and decisively. The teams moved like a single organism, coordinated and precise. Solara led her team into the central command building, the corridors dark and silent. Every shadow, every sound could indicate danger. Kale guided her through the layout, pointing out areas of tampering and weak points. They reached the main control room. Inside, they found a group of infiltrators attempting to override the systems. Solara acted immediately. Her blade hummed to life, a streak of energy cutting through the darkness. One infiltrator lunged at her, but she sidestepped, using momentum to disable them with a swift strike. Kale intercepted another, using his devices to neutralize their equipment. The fight was intense but controlled. Solara's instincts and training allowed her to anticipate moves before they happened. Kyle's knowledge of the infiltrators' methods gave them the upper hand. Together, they neutralized the threat, securing the systems before the infiltrators could cause lasting damage. When the dust settled, Solara looked around. The room was secure, the infiltrators restrained, and the systems intact. She allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction. Human skill, courage, and intelligence had triumphed once again. Kale approached, reviewing the data extracted from the infiltrators' systems. "We've prevented an immediate disaster," he said. "But this is just the beginning. They'll regroup, adapt, and try again. We need to stay vigilant," Solara nodded. "And we will. Humans don't back down. We adapt, we endure, and we fight for what we protect." For a moment, they stood in silence, listening to the faint hum of the city outside. The wind swept through the open corridors, lifting dust and small debris, carrying a sense of quiet victory. Solara realized that the strength of humans was not in their technology alone, but in their courage, their adaptability, and their willingness to stand together in the face of overwhelming odds. Kyle looked at her, his expression serious but respectful. "You are right to trust instinct. Humans are remarkable. Even against threats that seem unstoppable, we find ways to prevail. That's why I came here, to help humans protect themselves, and now I see it firsthand." Solara allowed herself a small smile. "You've done well too, Kale. Your knowledge, skill, and courage made a difference. Together, we've shown that humans are not easily defeated." The city below continued to move, unaware of the danger that had just been averted. Ships landed, merchants shouted, and travelers hurried past. But Solara and Kale knew that vigilance was never ending. The aliens were clever, patient, and dangerous. They would return, and when they did, humans would be ready. Because humans did not back down. Humans adapted, humans endured, and humans, when united, were unstoppable. Solara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of success. Kale stood beside her, a reminder of what could be achieved when humans combined courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Together, they would face whatever came next. The wind blew through the corridors again, lifting Kale's hood slightly, reminding Solara of the first moment they had met. What had begun as a confrontation had transformed into a partnership that symbolized the very essence of human strength. The night was far from over. But for now, humans had won this battle. The night air was crisp over Varelia, carrying the scent of fuel, ozone, and the faint metallic tang of the spaceport. Lights from ships reflected off the polished streets, making the city appear alive like a network of veins pulsing with energy. Commander Solara stood on the rooftop overlooking the city, Kyle beside her. Both were alert, knowing that the alien threat they had faced was far from over. Solara's mind raced. They had neutralized the initial infiltrators, secured key systems, and prevented immediate sabotage. Yet intelligence from Kale's device suggested the aliens were regrouping. A coordinated strike could still overwhelm the city if they weren't careful. "They're clever," Kyle said quietly. scanning the data on his wrist device. They've been studying human patterns for months. They'll adapt. If we're not ready, they could strike again, bigger and faster. Solara nodded, her jaw set firmly. Then we prepare. We don't wait. We anticipate. Humans survive because we think, we adapt, and we act. That's what makes us strong. The plan was simple but required precision. Solara and Kale split the city into zones. Teams of soldiers, each led by experienced commanders, would monitor, defend, and intercept any infiltrators. Kyle worked closely with Solara, using the extracted data to predict alien movements and weak points. Every decision, every deployment was based on careful analysis but also human intuition. Hours passed. The city hummed with activity, unaware that it teetered on the edge of disaster. Suddenly, alarms blared across the command center. A wave of infiltrators had been detected attempting to breach the transport hub. "Move out," Solara commanded, her voice calm but commanding. "Kyle, guide Team Alpha. I'll lead Team Beta. We intercept before they reach the main systems." They moved swiftly, cutting through the alleys and corridors with practiced efficiency. The infiltrators were disguised as humans, blending in with workers and civilians. Solara's team relied on observation, instincts, and subtle cues, human behavior that the aliens could not perfectly mimic. As they approached the transport hub, Solara spotted the first target, a disguised infiltrator attempting to access the hub's control panel. Without hesitation, she drew her plasma blade and moved silently. The infiltrator froze as she approached, sensing the inevitability of confrontation. "Stop," she commanded. Her blade hummed softly, light casting a faint glow across the room. The infiltrator hesitated, then attempted to flee, but Solara's team blocked every exit. Kale intercepted another infiltrator using a stun device, showing the perfect combination of human intelligence and ingenuity. The battle was tense but precise. Solara's team moved with speed and coordination, human intuition guiding every action. The infiltrators were skilled, but they relied heavily on technology. Solara and Kale exploited this advantage, disrupting devices, predicting movements, and securing key positions before the aliens could adapt. Minutes felt like hours. Every encounter tested skill, courage, and quick thinking. Yet the humans prevailed. By dawn, the transport hub was secure, the infiltrators restrained, and the systems operational. Solara wiped sweat from her brow, surveying the area. The city had survived another attack, not by chance, but by human determination, adaptability, and teamwork. Kale joined her, checking data from the captured infiltrators. "They'll try again," Kale said. "They're persistent. But they're learning that humans are not easy to defeat. They underestimate our ability to adapt, to anticipate, and to act decisively." Solara nodded. "And that's why we survive. Humans endure. Humans fight. Humans rise to challenges that seem impossible." The next hours were spent reinforcing defenses, analyzing infiltrator patterns, and securing critical infrastructure. Every action reinforced one truth: humans were clever, resourceful, and courageous. The aliens had planned to destabilize the city, but human skill and intuition had turned the tables. By evening, the city was calm. The immediate threat was neutralized, and Virelia's systems were more secure than ever. Solara and Kale stood on the rooftop again, overlooking the city. "You've changed my perspective," Solara admitted. "I was ready to strike first when I saw you in the market. Now I see that humans can achieve so much when we combine courage, skill, and trust." Kyle smiled faintly. "It's always been that way. Humans survive because we adapt. We think, we act. That's what makes us special." Solara looked at him, remembering the moment she had first pressed her blade to his throat. Anger and suspicion had given way to trust and partnership. That brief encounter had sparked a chain of events that showcased human resilience and ingenuity. The wind swept across the rooftop, lifting Kale's hood once more. Solara realized that humans were not just survivors, they were leaders, innovators, and fighters. Even when faced with clever, patient, and dangerous threats, humans had the courage and intelligence to prevail. As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the city of Virelia awoke, unaware of the battles fought in its shadows. But Commander Solara and Kale knew the truth. Humans had faced a test and emerged victorious. Their skill, courage, and unity had prevented disaster, showing that humanity's spirit was its greatest weapon. Solara sheathed her blade, standing tall. "Today we won," she said quietly. "Not because of luck, but because humans never give up. Because humans fight for each other and for what we protect. Kale nodded. And tomorrow, if they come again, humans will be ready. That's what makes us strong. For a moment, they stood in silence, listening to the city below, feeling the wind sweep past them. The fight had ended for now. But the lesson remained clear. Human courage, adaptability, and teamwork could overcome any threat, no matter how clever or relentless. Solara's eyes scanned the horizon. Somewhere out there, new challenges awaited. New threats would rise, but humans would endure. Humans would adapt. And humans would always rise to meet the impossible. With Kale at her side, Solara felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together they had faced the infiltrators, outsmarted them, and protected the city. Together they had proven that humans were not only survivors, they were extraordinary. The wind blew through once more, carrying the faint scent of fuel, metal, and the rising sun. Virelia stood safe, its people unaware of how close disaster had come. Solara and Kale knew that their work was not finished, but they also knew this. Humans, united, were unstoppable. And with that thought, Commander Solara turned to Kale and said, "We did well. But our work is never done. Humans will face many more challenges, but we will always rise. We will always endure. That is who we are," Kyle nodded. "And that is why humans will always prevail." The city glimmered in the early morning light, a testament to human courage, ingenuity, and spirit. Virelia was safe for now, but the memory of this night, and the triumph of human skill and determination, would endure forever. Humans had won, not because of superior technology alone, but because of courage, teamwork, and the spark that made them extraordinary. And in that spark, the universe would always find a force to reckon with.